but how do you utilize intelligence in an interesting, telling, and unique way? It's the same way you leverage human intelligence, right? You don't need to get too fixated on a unique technology story. You're repackaging oftentimes an existing capability with, certain things that were impractical or impossible or too costly in the past that now are within the realm of possibility with the click of a button.
Welcome to the Inside AI Digital Podcast. I'm your host, YJ. And in each episode, we sit down with leaders from AI Digital and across different ad tech industries to explore how AI is reshaping media strategy as well as digital activation. And throughout the series, we'll also take a closer look at Elevate, an AI-driven marketing platform that's built on top of Open Garden framework, and unpack what clarity, intelligence, and trust really means in the next era of digital advertising. So today, we're sitting down with David Mainiero, Chief AI Officer at AI Digital. David leads AI Digital Labs and previously spearheaded AI enablement initiatives for Fortune 100 organizations. He brings a rare mix of legal, operational AI expertise. So welcome to the podcast, David.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, David, one thing that's really interesting about this moment in AI is that many of us involved in day to day didn't necessarily come from a traditional AI background or a technical background. I mean, I have a degree in biology myself, and somehow we've all found ourselves in this space. So, can you walk us through your journey into AI and how that's evolved in helping agencies and advertisers drive real transformation?
Yeah, I guess I'll start with you're a biology major. I'm a history major. I remember distinctly my grandmother asking me if I intended on being a librarian when I grow up. I'm not a librarian. No offense to librarians, but you're right that I don't have a technical background in that I am not a coder or a developer, but my background is as an entrepreneur and a builder. And I think that is actually the most valuable skill set right now. And a lot of it is in your attitude about how you approach these things. We have technology falling out of the sky seemingly into our laps at a pace which really no one can keep up with. I think even the leading AI researchers and voices that are at the frontier are publicly tweeting like, I can't keep up with this. I've never felt more behind. And so if they're feeling that way, I think it's quite natural for us to feel that way and for us to normalize that for our agency clients, because that is the reality. The pace of progress is at a breakneck pace. And the idea that you can stay at the state of the art or the cutting edge constantly is just not realistic. Now, there are a couple natural human reactions we see to that. One is to kind of bury your head in the sand. One is to say, okay, well, let's take a more measured ROI based approach and let's wait and see. Let's see what others do and how we can keep up with that. All these things in these approaches sound appealing. They sound reasonable. Even if you want to start an AI steering committee or an AI task force that has a bunch of meetings and writes down a bunch of use cases. I find a lot of those efforts kind of put you into something I call pilot purgatory, where you're trying things, you're talking about ideas, but you're not really doing anything that changes the way your business is conducted now. And so we've built AI Digital Labs for the everyday person who's trying to figure out how to use AI to make their business not only more efficient or productive, but to change the nature of their business. And we don't have all the answers, and we don't expect our partners to have the answers, but there is no substitute for rolling up your sleeves and taking that builder's mindset of, okay, I'm not just going to read about it. Let's do it. Let's try to build it, because I don't need to be a developer. I can press a button on my computer, look at my other screen, and talk to an AI application that's going to build me a full web app. And I could press a button and deploy it instantly. I could build a mobile app. I could have it in the app stores, Apple app stores approval queue within an hour. That is something that is a capability no one has ever had access to other than through decades, perhaps, of specialized training. So sometimes a few years ago, I was kind of kicking myself like, maybe I should just pause my career and go to a coding boot camp. I really want to be able to build stuff. I'm so glad I didn't, because now I can build stuff. And our message at AI Digital Labs is, so can you, much more easily than you think. So that's kind of the level setting for how we're helping agencies and advertisers turn general AI ambitions into concrete actions. But it's not just kind of that table setting and training and transformation consulting. We also have an AI incubator program, which is to build much more advanced integrations, mini applications. And these aren't 6-month build cycles. We have kind of a tiger team of a few people that put these things together, a prototype usually in a day or two, and put it into production in a week or two.
Great. And you mentioned being an entrepreneur and a builder. I recently read somewhere that Apple App Store has reported exponential increase in number of apps that are coming in, and it's getting harder and harder to actually evaluate and push them to market because there's just so many people building their own apps these days. That said, you mentioned about agencies and being there a need to form AI committees and task force to help drive adoption. And I know you recently surveyed over 50 agency executives and published a report, an AI maturity report, which I highly recommend our listeners to check it out because it really highlights the perception of where the reality diverge. So just to highlight some key figures here, over 80% of agencies can't clearly articulate differentiated AI story, and nearly half aren't measuring their AI business impact. So looking at these numbers, where do they tell what does this tell you about where the industry currently lies right now?
I think the industry is at a fairly low state of maturity and adoption, despite what often gets reported in general industry benchmarks. For instance, I've seen a survey that was very well publicized that said 70% of agencies were at quote full scale AI adoption. And then there was a footnote that defined that as, AI involved in 3 or more workflows, which is quite a broad thing to say. I think, anyone who uses ChatGPT and has any kind of custom prompt for a particular piece of work could plausibly say that. And if you get up on stage and, ask them to raise their hands, who's at full scale AI adoption, I think you'd have maybe 2 people raise their hand in a crowd. And so that was particularly the case at the kind of mid-market level, not, holdcos of, these are businesses that have constantly been told to do more with less, and they are conditioned to thinking about that. And now labor and intelligence is not a scarce resource, it's abundant. And so there's kind of this embarrassment of riches to be able to deal with, and people haven't quite figured out how to do it. And it can be very overwhelming. So I think those two statistics you highlighted are reflective of what, just the overwhelming amount of information out there and capability that people are. I kind of fall into this analysis paralysis as well. It's like, oh my God, there's so much I could do. Where do I start? And sometimes you just have to pick a direction and go. And that's actually the best way to learn. That's kind of the trial and error method and the fail fast method. And those are core lessons of entrepreneurship as well. But I used to work with a consultant who would say almost every day, and it just sticks out to me, what gets measured gets managed. And so if you're not measuring as an agency what AI can be doing for you, and I don't mean, okay, it's increasing our earnings or our revenue by X, Y, and Z. Those can be part of it. But you could measure something even as qualitative as how many AI wow moments have we delivered for our clients in the past month? Is it 3? Is it 4? How do we define what a wow moment is? Is it just feedback from a client? Right? That's essentially what a CSAT survey is in a larger form, but that has a fancy acronym. So we think of it as like, oh, that's a legitimate thing. You're asking clients questions. So come up with a few little benchmarks for yourself so that you can measure internally. Okay, if the first month where you were really excited about this, you had 3 AI wow moments with your clients, and then all of a sudden you don't see any more, something's wrong. You should be, spiking in that type of activity. So we have a rubric of different ways that agencies and advertisers can measure this type of progress and evolve those roadmaps over time. Because, like I said, what gets measured gets managed. And like you said, the kind of ability to articulate a unique AI story, that's part of your go to market message. Like everyone's getting a slide in their deck now that says, we have advanced AI analytical capabilities and we use advanced AI to do X, Y, and Z. And it's usually some mealy mouth, non-differentiated statement. There's a great opportunity to be able to talk about what you do. It doesn't mean you need to build custom tech to do it, but how do you utilize intelligence in an interesting, compelling, and unique way, right? It's the same way you leverage human intelligence, right? You don't need to get too fixated on a unique technology story. You're repackaging oftentimes an existing capability with, certain things that were impractical or impossible or too costly in the past that now are within the realm of possibility with the click of a button.
So you mentioned gaps around measurement. And I think also in the report you outline challenges with integration, ROI visibility, and differentiation. They feel very systematic rather than, siloed agency challenges or brand challenges. So pivoting a little bit about tools that are currently being built to help address that gap. Where does AI Digital's platform Elevate fit into that picture? And how do you foresee, the tools that we're building helping agencies move away from, experimentation into something that's more operational and sustainable?
I think the overall approach is modularity, first of all, because every agency, every client has not only different systems they need to integrate with, different existing technology that they've spent a lot of money or time building out to work in the manner that they want it to work. The idea that someone who's supposed to be helping you, like AI Digital is trying to do in their core business, would just force down your throat a top-down solution of here's our tech, take it or leave it. I don't care if it integrates with your other stuff perfectly. I don't care what your other workflows are. That's not a recipe for success. It doesn't help clients. So oftentimes clients will articulate an ask in terms of, I want technology that does this, or I want a tool that does this. And in reality, what they're saying is what they actually want. If you press the issue, they just want X, whatever that is, done perfectly and as fast as possible. So their proxy for that is technology that does it. But oftentimes it is kind of an AI and human expert solution. That is where that kind of co-intelligence model is where we are seeing the best results. Domain experts, niche subject matter experts are the ones who can extract the most value from AI because they just know how to prompt it, how to go through it so quickly and polish the work product. Whereas if you're starting from ground zero, yeah, you can make a huge leap, but you still can't get that kind of that mastery leap as easily. And that's how you end up with a lot of what's called AI work slop. So to back to my point about Elevate is designed as the shared surface of how we work with clients. So yeah, of course, we have certain standardization, certain things that are a little bit top down. But the approach with Elevate with our partners is to have Elevate work the way that they work. And so it's not a completely custom build every time we deploy Elevate for a client, but it is leveraging our library of agents, which you can think of kind of like an app store that they can grab from certain templates and say, okay, well, I want to have a UTM checker. I want to have a synthetic focus group analyzer. I want to have a site conversion audit tool. I want to have a static image banner ad to video creation tool. And we will have stock ways of doing that are preset. But they might say, okay, actually, this has these capabilities, this default agent, and we actually want it to do this narrow thing. Or we want to add our playbook for our agency's way of doing this for the RFP responder tool. And those are tweaks that we can make with our AI Digital Labs partners on their Elevate platform so that it truly is that shared surface of work with clients and is adapting to the way they want to work and the way they work now and the way they want to work in the future as they evolve. So it is a living software, essentially.
I love the comparison of agents to an app store because I think it truly kind of describes how custom and personalized they can be based on the agencies and brands' needs. So for some of those teams that are listening, including those who may not necessarily have access to Elevate yet, what's the practical step that they can take in the next 30 to 60 days to move from experimentation stage to real progress?
So, what you can do personally, if you're someone listening to this, is stop listening after I'm done with these few sentences and open a paid version of any common general AI tool, Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot. There Grok. There are several others, and use at least the mid-tier paid version, the one that's $20 or $30 a month. Sometimes for business, it's slightly more. And try building an app. Literally, just if you don't know how to build an app, that's okay. You know how to say the words "build an app that does X, Y, and Z," and keep iterating with it. Don't just take the first thing it comes back with. Say, "I don't like X, Y, and Z." Suggest a bunch of new creative features that I could add to my app, and then play with it. One that I picked up, I think I borrowed this from someone on Twitter, but on Gemini, you can actually have it use your camera, and you can open your mouth. And when you open your mouth, it like breathes fire or shoots lasers. That's a fun one to do with your kids. But you will be shocked at the things you can create. And yeah, you'll make mistakes. Yeah, you'll hit walls, but I would do that immediately, not just building an app, but always invite AI to the table, right? Not just as a copy editor or email polisher, but if you're just sitting there thinking of a strategy, ask it for ideas. If you've already written something, ask it to kind of give you a red team memo, or challenge your ideas or every assumption in your email that you may not have thought about. If you're writing a process document, ask it to make it simpler or clearer or better. You will be shocked at the level of intelligence, the kind of above PhD level of intelligence in just about every field that it will offer you, and you will find AI to be a partner for you. Then I want you to experiment with voice capabilities. I can't tell you how much work I get done in the car and walking my dogs. Promise I'm not texting and driving. I'm literally pressing a button on my Apple CarPlay and blowing hot air into an AI and in the form of my unstructured ideas, and it comes back with like a beautiful memo of what I wanted. And when I get back at my computer, I say, okay, make this into a memo for my team, send this as an email to the client, and then I want to document this process in our Slight repository. So create variations of all that work that would take me hours.
So internally at AI Digital, we're currently conducting some fun AI contests and exercises. People help our teams familiarize with the tools. Someone built an app that can, using the audio features, listen to cats' meows, and it'll translate what your cat is saying to you. Is it accurate? Not sure. But people had a lot of fun building different apps. And always, one of the biggest takeaways is how easy it is to build creative, functioning apps without any coding experience. So totally agree that I think the best step is just try it yourself.
My initial impulse when people asked me for AI advice a few months ago and how can I build this, how can I do that, was to tell them, I don't think that's the right way anymore. Now I go back to them when I said, did you try it yet? What did you try? What didn't work? And when they put the modicum of effort into trying, they stop asking me because they realize I can catch up to most of his knowledge on this with a few hours of familiarity. And that is very empowering. And that's the attitude that I think that we really need to invest in. And I know we are at AI Digital on a massive scale, but I think everyone should be doing that.
Lastly, you're a new parent, and technically you're supposed to be on a paternity leave. So we really appreciate you being here and taking the time to share. Obviously, no one can really prepare you for parenthood, but what's been the biggest surprise so far, David?
Well, that no one, including AI, can prepare me for parenthood despite its capabilities. I guess I don't have too many surprises. The idea that I'll never wake up feeling truly refreshed again has been a tough pill to swallow. But my refreshment comes, I guess, in a different form of satisfaction. For my daughter, but I've been doing a lot of fun things with parenting with AI. I think doing things in your personal life that help you are a great kind of gateway drug to using AI in the workplace. Not to be wildly inappropriate, but I think I've created a serialized bedtime story for my daughter since her first night, and it's got themes. And now I kind of dictate to my AI what themes I want to put forward that night, and it gives me like a 4 or 5 minute bedtime story. So that would be a lot of manual storytelling for me that I'm happy to have some help in, because it means I don't miss a night doing it.
David, congratulations. Thanks again for joining us and sharing your perspective. And to everyone that's listening, we've got more great discussions ahead. So catch you on the next episode.